All right. Thank you for tuning in to today's quick Q&A for advocates. I'm Mara Powell, Chief Communications Officer at Kentucky Youth Advocates, and I'm joined today by Mehek Kalra, our Chief Policy Officer, and Jesse Whittish, our Chief Engagement Officer. We're excited to share some updates about the 2021 legislative session and the upcoming Children's Advocacy Week, which is less than 2 weeks away. I can't believe it. So let's jump right in. Mehek, what is going on in Frankfort and what is so different about this year?
Well, we have part one under our belt with many children's advocates, partners, and citizens across the Commonwealth have already experienced. We've seen a revised schedule, new safety measures in place. We've seen the flow of committee and chamber meetings. We've seen a continued budget proposal and, of course, new legislators. So a lot of new and moving pieces. And it could be really daunting if you think about it. But a lot of, there's not everything is new, this General Assembly. Let's not forget that it's a 30-day short session. The schedule is broken up into two parts. So the first part of the session kicked off January 5th and lasted until January 12th. And then the legislators right now are on break and they'll return Tuesday, February 2nd for the remainder of the 30-day period. One also important note that we have to highlight is the legislature needs to pass a one-year budget as well. So there's so much happening, as you could tell in my short comments. So I would suggest you to check out our latest Advocate Virtual Forum, as well as our Making Kids Count podcast episode for a full look at the changes in the 2021 legislative session, as well as our recent blog post around this.
Thanks. And speaking of different, advocates are probably already aware that it's not business as usual, like you said, at the Capitol in terms of meeting with their legislators or even legislators meeting with one another. Can you tell advocates a little bit more about the new protocols at the Capitol and what to expect?
Definitely. So obviously there's new rules for visitors. So the general public access to the Capitol and Annex building will not be allowed. The only access that you'll be allowed is if you have an appointment with a legislator. So that also means that you're not allowed to attend the House and Senate galleries. That will be closed to the public as well. You'll be required to wear a mask covering your nose and your mouth the entire time that you're at the Capitol building or the annex. But don't worry, you can still watch all the committee meetings. So if you're one that attends committee meetings, you can tune in through KDT and that they will be streaming all the committee meetings when the legislature returns to chambers.
That's great. And what about those who want to try to meet with their legislators? What can they do around that?
There's so much that still could be done. So there's over 1 million kids counting on their legislators to prioritize them. And you have to let legislators know what they need to succeed. And so if you haven't done so already, we encourage you to find out who represents you in Frankfort and contact them throughout the legislative session. This year in particular, like I said, you'll need an appointment. So meetings will be limited to 3 people. And that will take place in the annex office. And so there'll be somebody there to guide you and walk you to the meeting room and then escort you out of the meeting room. But you could also request a virtual meeting if you don't feel comfortable meeting in person. And as always, you know, the traditional email and call works just as well too.
Absolutely. Thanks. And we know they're on social media, so contacting them through there would be great too. So Jesse, what's happening with Children's Advocacy Week? What can we look forward to the week of February 1st through the 5th?
Well, in short, there is a lot going on February 1st through 5th. So as we referenced, everything seems to be different this year. And like so many other events this year, what used to be a huge in-person event, a rally day, a day to meet with your legislators, formerly known as Children's Advocacy Day, has transitioned to a virtual event and a week-long event, because there's also a lot to do for Kentucky kids and families this year, given the impact of the pandemic and just trying to pass this one-year budget in a very short time. So to try and capture some of the spirit of Children's Advocacy Day and to equip advocates with what they need to schedule meetings, even virtual meetings, as Mehek suggested, Children's Advocacy Day has become Children's Advocacy Week, and throughout the week there will be 15 virtual events. And we hope you can attend all or most of them, but of course you can pick and choose what interests you most. So some of the highlights include the Rally for Kentucky Kids, and that will, as in years past, feature Governor Andy Beshear, Senate President Robert Stivers, House Speaker David Osborne. We will also have some youth joining that. Throughout the week, we'll also have conversations with Lieutenant Governor Coleman and Secretary of State Adams, and a panel with media journalists. Each day there will also be a policy forum with legislators, and those forums are going to be specifically related to a topic that affects kids and families. So like one around child welfare, one around justice, one around education and health. You get the idea. And wait, there's even more. There are also going to be 5 policy and advocacy information sessions, one of those each day, where you can learn more about the Blueprint for Kentucky's Children policy priorities, and also hear from legislators about the 2021 General Assembly and why you need to be an advocate for Kentucky kids. So Kentucky Youth Advocates is co-hosting these with local partners from across Kentucky, and each of these events is going to be pretty much the same except for different partner co-hosts and different legislators. So when it comes to those, you can pick whichever one you interest you most in terms of legislators or partners, but the content's going to be pretty much the same. And of course, during Children's Advocacy Week, we encourage you to reach out to your legislators, to contact them about policies that may interest you, and maybe even schedule a virtual visit during Children's Advocacy Week. We're letting legislators know that they should expect some requests for those meetings, and that's a really powerful opportunity to connect with your legislator.
Absolutely. So jam-packed week, lots of activities and events to plug into. So how can advocates stay informed and stay up to date on what to participate in throughout the week?
Yeah, so that's a lot, right? Like 15 events is a whole lot. And we have made a way that is hopefully easy for you to keep track of all of those events. So we have a Children's Advocacy Week app. Can you guys see this? Sort of? Okay.
Yes.
So it's an app. It's available through what's called the YAP platform. And we will drop a link in the comments for how you can access the app. It's really easy to just click a link and go to it. And there's a lot of cool features within the app. You can follow the schedule for all of the events. You can find resources like fact sheets for the Blueprint for Kentucky's Children policy priorities. You can see our speakers. You can check out our sponsors, including the Children's Advocacy Week's signature sponsor, Aetna Better Health of Kentucky, and so much more. So all of the events will be conducted via Zoom, and some of them will also be streamed here on Facebook as well. The Zoom links will be in the schedule on the app. So the app is not for joining the events, it's really just to help you keep track of the events. And a couple of things that I love about the app. First, you can access it via a mobile device, like I have it on my phone, or you can see all of the content on a website on your computer. So you don't have to download the app, or if you want to have it both places, you can. Second, you can build your own schedule within the app. So if you go to, if you click down here on schedule, and you go to the schedule and you're like, oh, there's something cool happening on Thursday, I can click on it, I can add it to my schedule, and then up here in the corner, you can click on schedule and it shows you all the events that you're interested in.
That is so nice.
I know, right? So once you decide what you want to do, you can have it all right here. I can click on it and be like, who's going to be speaking? What's the Zoom link I need? And it's all right there and really easy for you. So we will be recording most of the events to share on our YouTube page and in some cases on our Facebook page, but we encourage you to join live if you're able so that these decision makers, these state leaders, these legislators can see all of the advocates who are showing up for Kentucky Kids. If you have already registered for Children's Advocacy Week, you will get an update email with all of this information today. And if you haven't yet registered, we encourage you to do so now.
Yes, thank you. And the registration links can be found on our website at kyouth.org, and you can find it on our Facebook page. We've been sharing it a lot over the last couple of weeks. So Mehek, we've heard a lot about what's coming up, and we always look back fondly on those children advocacy days and the packed rotunda and the hallways filled with advocates and legislators speaking up for kids. So why is something like Children's Advocacy Week so important, or just contacting your legislators in general?
I think what's important, especially this year with limited to no in-person contact, this is your opportunity to elevate your voice on policies and programs that are important for kids and families across the state. And legislators always tell us they want to hear from their constituents. Let's remember, they are part-time legislators. So they go back to their home county and go back to their job that's not related to policy. So they aren't the true policy expert on every single topic. And so they rely on constituents such as yourselves to educate them on issues and to share stories of how Kentucky kids and their families are affected by policies and programs. So if you don't know your legislator, I would suggest you use our legislator lookup tool and contact them immediately.
Absolutely, thanks. And share maybe some of the upcoming events happening the week of February 1st when they get back to session. All right, so Jesse, how can advocates stay informed? How can they take action throughout the session? How can we make sure they're equipped with the information they need?
Yeah, so on our website, we have an advocacy toolkit. On our, if you go to our website, there's a little section that says advocacy, and you'll see it right there. And in that toolkit, there are a number of ways to stay informed. First, there's a legislator lookup tool, as Mehek referenced earlier, so you can find out who represents you in Frankfort, and when you do that, it will pop up with all their contact information and their social media. Another important tool is the bill tracker, and that tracks Blueprint for Kentucky's Children policy priorities that we that bills that have already been filed, and then as they become filed, we'll add those along with other bills that are good for kids. In that toolkit, there's also links to sign up for email updates, and of course, follow us on social media so that you have updates on bill movement. And if you're on our email list, you will also receive any action alerts that we send out, encouraging advocates to contact their legislators about specific bills. And there's also links to the Legislative Research Commission website, and you can find more information there about like committee schedules, specific bills. There are options to follow bills. There's a bill watch tool. So there are some other pieces there that about bills that are not necessarily on our website. And of course, on KET, you can stream live coverage of the General Assembly. We link to that in the advocacy toolkit, that you can stream committee meetings and just in general when they're in chambers.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up, what is next for advocates so they feel most prepared for Children's Advocacy Week?
So yeah, there's a few things. First, there is an advocate virtual forum next week, Wednesday, January 27th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And we will go over during that forum how to make the most of the virtual events happening February 1st through 5th, and also do a little bit of an update about those few days of the General Assembly, since we have had our last advocate virtual forum, any updates on the budget, that kind of thing. There's a registration for that on our website, and we can put that in the comments too. Also, be sure you're registered for Children's Advocacy Week, as I mentioned, and bookmark the event webpage, check out the app, go ahead and download that. That'll be continually updated as we confirm speakers and that kind of thing. If you work with youth, we would love for you to encourage them to submit art or a recorded performance, a dance, anything like that to Kentucky Youth Advocates so we can feature those through Children's Advocacy Week. The art and the music, all of that is one thing that we always love to see in person, but we haven't been able to replicate for a virtual event. So we would love to have you submit those. You can find that link to do that on our blog and some more information about what we're looking for in that.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much. This was so helpful, and we hope it was helpful for all of you all tuning in. Like Jesse said, make sure you follow along with us. And we want to thank our many Children's Advocacy Week sponsors, including our signature sponsor, Aetna, Better Health of Kentucky, and our social media sponsors, AT&T and WellCare. And these events are made possible because of their generous support, so we can't thank them enough, as well as our partner sponsors from across the state. So stay tuned for more Children's Advocacy Week updates, session updates, all of that on our social media pages and on our website. So thanks so much for tuning in to today's Q&A. We look forward to seeing more of you all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.